Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem, Makakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples for his younger brothers. And peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful lake out there pushing this word in truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom on to the hopeful elect, the believers and listeners who may have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Alright, and what I want to get into this morning, it's dealing with these simple ones, these simple ones, okay? Because before this truth, we were all considered simple, by the standard of the wisdom of the scriptures, we was all considered simple in the world, simple as hell. Okay, you think about, the things that we believed in, the culture that we was into. Okay, our conduct is extremely, simple, man. Okay, Christmas, the Easter Bunny, okay, voting, all right, all these particular things of this world. Okay, trying to live out a rap song. Okay, trying to be famous in this world, trying to, clout status. It was simple. We was being simple. Okay? And this is the way this world cultivates the masses to be simple. Esau, he floods, society with psyops and enchantments to where mostly what everyone believes is a lie. Most people's belief system is based off of falsehood and simplicity, man. Okay, arguing about the role of a man and a woman, arguing about what bathroom someone should go to. Okay, arguing about this and that and podcasts and these long ass discussions about nothing. Okay, and simplicity, man. And this is a very simple society, and this is what we was pulled from. We was pulled. This wisdom elevates us from simplicity, man. Okay, when you look at the weight of this world. So when you read the book of Proverbs chapter 1 and verse 2, it says to know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding. Okay, so this Bible, the Holy Spirit, opens us up to know wisdom and instruction and perceive the words of understanding. Because before we couldn't perceive this, man. Before the Lord, at a point in time when the Lord would endow us with the Holy Spirit, well, we didn't know what the Bible was speaking of. We were simple when it came to the Bible. Okay? We thought Adam and Eve were the only two people on earth. Okay? We thought we thought Eve came from the actual real, the Most High took an actual rib out of Adam, and the woman formed from the rib. Okay? We didn't know they were talking about his someone that was of his kin. Okay? The serpent in the garden, we thought it was an actual snake. Eve ate an actual apple. Okay, we were simple. Okay? We had a very simple understanding of everything, especially when it came to the Bible. But the Holy Spirit opened us up to the mysteries and to the deep understanding of the scriptures, man. Okay, it took out the veil. You see? So it says to receive the instruction of wisdom, justice, judgment, and equity. Yeah, understanding righteous judgment. We was in the world, we was in church praying for America. And we were praying for the small hats, man. Some pastors, they pray for Israel, y'all. Okay? Talking about the small hats, man. Simple. We didn't know righteous judgment that those people, would do for righteous judgment, that those people were wicked. We didn't understand what equity was, man. We were simple. Okay? And there's plenty more examples, but but it says to give subtlety to the simple, to the young man knowledge and discretion, man. Okay, read this in the NLT, Proverbs 1 and 4. These proverbs will give insight to the simple, knowledge and discernment to the young. Okay? So the Holy Spirit, when the Lord endow someone with the Holy Spirit and opens them up to insight. See, the Bible puts us on all the game. We're not simple concerning the matters of the world anymore. Okay? We're not simple when it comes to what's actually going on in the world. Okay? We're not simple when it comes to what the Lord is doing because we understand prophecy, man. We're beginning to understand our power. We have insight now. Okay? We know what Esau Edom is up to. We understand the concept of 2/3. Okay? That's why we don't waste our time, okay, trying to make everybody get it because it's not meant. Only someone simple is out here handing out brochures and, okay, trying to recruit into, no, we're not recruiting, we're teaching. And this word is going to draw in who is going to draw in. Someone is out there handing out pamphlets and trying to recruit. That's a simple mindset. They don't understand, all right, that the elect have obtained and the rest were blinded. Okay? Still, you got Israelites still calling on Jesus, man. That's simple. How simple you gonna be? Okay, you got to mature in this thing, man. We got the insight now. We have the names of our power. Why not exalt them names? Why still call on some goddamn Jesus, man? That's being simple. You see? Real nigga university, we worship the nigga God. That's simplicity, man. Okay? It's being very simple-minded, immature. Okay? But when we really get into the scriptures, man, when the Lord endows a man with the Holy Spirit, you know, he taps into the insight. Okay? It gives him discernment to look at things and filter things through the Spirit. You know? Which makes us no longer simple. Okay? So read this again. It said, these proverbs, is in NLT, Proverbs 1 and 4. These proverbs will give insight to the simple, knowledge and discernment to the young. Okay? Because no matter how old we were when we came into the truth, we were young in the spirit. You know, we had to be like, we had to become newborns. Okay? And really mature in the spirit. You see? Mature in this insight of Yahweh Bashim Al Shah. Okay? So let's go from there, because when you go into the same chapter, matter of fact, when you go, because those whom the Lord has given this insight, those also whom the Lord sent out to teach. You know, because we didn't get this wisdom and this insight, you know, just for our own merit. No, we got this to be a service unto the body, to teach, to edify, you know. So when you go to Proverbs 1 and 20, it said, wisdom cried without. She uttered her voice in the streets, and this in the camps. You know, so the Lord had, you know, those men, okay, who has given this insight and this wisdom and this understanding to go and teach based on that insight we was given from the Spirit. You know, the discernment that we was getting to go into a prophecy to discern the times based on this insight, man. You know? So it says, she cried in the chief place of concourse, in the openings of the gates in the city. She uttered her voice, all right? She uttered her words, saying, how long, ye simple ones, will ye love simplicities? And scorners delight in scorner, and fools hate knowledge, man. You know? So his word is calling out, you know, to our people. This wisdom through the prophet is calling out to our people, you know, to show them, like, look, everything that you believe is simple, man. It keeps you simple. It keeps you naive. It keeps you in the dark. How long are you going to love being simple, man? How long are you going to go from being a Democrat to a Republican, bouncing back and forth, thinking you're doing something major? Okay? How long are you going to try to live out this fantasy of being this super street nigga? Okay? Trying to be this hot girl and this, you know, this IG model. How long are you going to be simple and continuing these things, man? Hide Easter eggs. Okay? Argue about who bring what to the table. How long you gonna be simple? Okay? And that show everything. Celebrity gossip. Okay? That's everything to a lot of our people, man. Okay? Trying to play this character on the internet. You don't made yourself into a little character. Look, everybody important and celebrity on the internet, man. Simple, man. Okay? Yeah, you got a bunch of comments and likes, but look at your nation, man. Okay? Look at your nation. Look at the earth. Look who's running the earth, man. Okay? The truth makes us, it makes us concerned about the more weightier matters. Okay? We become more concerned about the weightier matters, man, like the rulership of the earth, man. That needs to be changed. Okay? The earth has an Edomite problem, man. That's a priority, to those who the Lord has given the insight. Okay? The signs of the coming of Yahushua, man. These things are a priority now. Okay? But our people, they love, simplicity, man. You see? A lot of our people, most of our people, they're going to reject this word and continue on being simple. Okay? If we're here for the next election, watch how simple our people are going to be, man. Niggas going to go back to Democrats, man. And people are so simple that they're predictable, man. Niggas going back to Democrats. If there's another election, which I doubt it, the way things are going, but just say it is, man. Niggas will just go back to being Democrat. Niggas are simple and predictable, man. People are simple and predictable. Okay? Like now, they're talking about the midterms. Everybody talking about the midterms. Man, that shit don't matter, man. These folks are rolling out of technocracy, man. Midterms, that don't matter no more. It never did. Okay? These people finna roll out something else, man. Esau is on to something else, man. He's on with his new world order. Okay? You got people, watch out these midterms. Okay? People gonna go crazy just vote for any Democrat, man, because they're so simple and predictable, man. Not knowing that Trump is doing the bidding of the elites, man. He's doing exactly what the elites want him to do. If it was a Democrat, they would do exactly what the elites want them to do. Okay? It makes no difference. Alright? But you still have our people caught up in that, man. And let's go here. That's why a lot of our people, okay, when you go here, are going to be caught up in their simplicity, man, being simple. Okay? Proverbs 9:4, it says, whoso is simple, let him turn in hither, and turn into this wisdom. As for him that wanted understanding, she saith to him, come eat of my bread, and drink of the wine which I have mingled. Okay? Because this wisdom is like a buffet. It's like a rich meal. It's like that choice wine, fresh bread. Okay? Which can sustain the body. Okay? So this wisdom is like spiritual nutrients, man. Okay? And it's nourishing us to righteousness, to understanding. It's putting us on the level. Okay? When it comes to wisdom, when it comes to the insight of the Most High. Okay? So the hopeful elect will turn into, okay, they will enter into this house of wisdom. Okay? And be fed and be nourished up with all this insight and understanding. Okay? And it says, verse 6, it said, forsake the foolish and live. And go in the way of understanding, man. Forsake the foolish and live. Okay? Because you look at our people, man, they're occupied in folly and foolishness, man. Okay? They're just occupied in the most simple things. Okay? And it's going to lead to them walking right into the worst judgment ever, man. We coming to the worst times ever. So these are the times of the worst judgments that the Lord has ever sent forth, man. Proverbs 22:3 says, a prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself. And how do we foresee the evil? Through this insight, through the Lord giving us this wisdom, this insight of what's happening, man. Okay? The Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit, okay, we're able to look out into the future. That's why we're able to prophesy, because we can see before. You know, and we hide ourselves in our power. Okay? You know, walking in faith, walking in obedience, that's us hiding ourselves in our power, man. Okay? So as we foresee the evil, according to the scriptures, the things that will happen in the end, okay, and we look at what's happening in real time, okay, we begin to tuck into our power, man. We get closer to our power because we know judgment is at hand, man. Okay? But that's through having this insight, man. Okay? Which makes us the opposite of simple. Makes us prudent. Okay? It said, but the simple pass on and are punishment. Okay? So a lot of our people, you know, are from the pass by, okay, they pass by the prophets. They overlook the prophets. They pass by the instruction. They pass by the warning. And they're just going to go straight into the punishment. They're going to walk straight into this punishment, man. Okay? Because it's finna get crucial ahead. Okay? The Lord finna open up, man. Okay? Because what we're seeing, everything has a ripple effect. Alright? This war is going to have a ripple effect on all these other prophecies, man. Okay? That's going to bring judgment to the doorsteps of the masses, man. You know? So that's the point. Just want to go into that Lord will. Alright, you brothers. Alright, and you sisters edified once again. I want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Ruach HaKodesh, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to us younger brothers. And peace and blessings and salutations to the hopeful Shalom.